think of independent, oddball games, one generally looks to the Sony PlayStation line of consoles. In January of 2015, PlayStation Plus members were given just that as one of the free games for being a member of the service. From indie developer Curve Studios in Finland comes the Swapper. This beautifully strange game comes packed with an equally strange story, so here goes. Humanity has exhausted their natural resources. So, 7 remote outposts are established in distant space to extract and synthesize useful materials from their neighboring planets to send back to Earth. The crews of the space stations must survive independently off Earth for several decades. First, Station 7 loses orbit and disintegrates into its closest sun. Then, Station 6 goes offline for unknown reasons. When the crew of Space Station Thesis explore an uninhabitable desert planet with abundant natural materials needed on Earth, and highly complex rock formations of unknown origin, the rocks display an unusual electrochemical activity, leading some to believe they may possess rudimentary intelligence. The crew calls these rocks the Watchers. Over time, the crew begins to notice that the rocks are penetrating their dreams, and come to believe that the rocks are telepathic. The scientists use what they learned from the rocks' electrochemicals to create a device they call the Swapper. They learn that this device creates clones of the user and allows them to become the clone. And that just scrapes the surface of this game's story. It is very rich and a breath of fresh air from the normal cookie-cutter game. I give the story a 4.5. The sound is eerie and unsettling. While there are no enemies to attack you, you always feel as if something is right around the corner ready to attack or to give you one serious jump scare. The game in and of itself is not scary, but the sound makes you feel as if it should be. I give the sound a 3.5. The gameplay is just as unique as everything else. At its core, it is a side-scrolling platformer, which is not so unique, but how they pull it off sure is. You play as a spaceman who has the device known as the Swapper. As mentioned earlier, the Swapper is a device that lets the users make clones of themselves and then transport their soul and consciousness from the original body into the clone. You can make up to 4 clones and they all make the same movements as you, so you have to be careful not to make any wrong moves or the puzzles start all over again. To make things even more challenging, there are different color lights in many of the puzzles. These lights can either hinder cloning, swapping, or both. So you have to find ways to turn the lights off so you can use your cloning and swapping abilities. This feels a lot like the Oddworld series and is extremely fun and challenging. I give the gameplay a 4.5. The controls are spot on. From character movement to all your action buttons, this game just feels and works perfectly. Any and all mistakes in this game can only be attributed to the user, and is definitely never the game's fault. Most games have some flaw in their controls, but this one is perfect. I give the controls a 5. The graphics in this game are honestly a sight to behold. Now, while they are not up to par with a big budget game, I also did not expect them to be either. As a whole, the graphics are a wonderful representation of gritty sci-fi at its best. The environments are just as bleak and lifeless as one would expect, with a dash of impending doom around every corner. The only character models are that of the spaceman and his clones, and they animate beautifully. I feel that the studio really put a lot of time and effort into making this game as pretty as it can be on a small budget. I give the graphics a 4. From wonderful graphics and sound to perfect controls and epic gameplay, it's no wonder I like this game as much as I do. Indie games are usually not my cup of tea, but the Swapper has truly helped open my eyes and made me want to seek out those games that I have never really given a fair chance before. This is one truly awesome game, and it gets a 4.3 out of 5.